25% of corporate executives are clinical psychopaths. Not metaphorically. Clinically. The same psychological profile as the person who tortures animals for pleasure now sits in the boardroom, deciding your salary. This isn't an accident. The corporate world doesn't just attract psychopaths, it rewards them. And if you think you can spot them coming, you're already their next victim. Because the most successful psychopaths are the ones who make you feel sorry for them. Psychologists call it the Dark Triad. 3 personality traits that, when combined, create the perfect predator. Narcissism. Machiavellianism. Psychopathy. Separately, they're manageable. Together, they're unstoppable. Most people believe bad people are easy to spot. They assume narcissists are obviously arrogant, that manipulators are transparent, that psychopaths are violent criminals lurking in dark alleys. The research tells a different story. Dr. Robert Hare, who created the gold standard for psychopathy assessment, found that successful psychopaths don't break laws, they write them. They don't commit street crimes, they commit white-collar crimes that destroy thousands of lives at once. The Dark Triad isn't pathology. It's strategy. And it works. Let's start with narcissism. Not the Instagram selfie kind. Clinical narcissism. The Narcissistic Personality Inventory, developed by Robert Raskin and Calvin Hall, measures 7 dimensions of narcissistic behavior. Authority, exhibitionism, superiority, vanity, exploitativeness, entitlement, and self-sufficiency. Score high on these measures, and you're not just confident, you're dangerous. Narcissists don't just think they're better than you. They know it. In their mind, other people exist to serve their needs. Dr. Jean Twen's research spanning 3 decades shows narcissism scores have increased 40% since the 1980s. But here's what most people miss: narcissists are incredibly charming. Initially. They have to be. Narcissistic supply, the admiration and attention they crave, doesn't come from being obviously terrible. It comes from being irresistible. Until you're no longer useful. Then you discover what you really were, a resource to be consumed. Next, Machiavellianism. Named after Niccolò Machiavelli's The Prince, this trait measures someone's willingness to manipulate others for personal gain. Richard Christie and Florence Geis created the Mach scale in the 1970s. High Machs, as they're called, view interpersonal relationships as chess games. Everyone else is a piece to be moved. Here's what makes Machiavellians particularly dangerous: they're patient. While narcissists want immediate gratification and psychopaths want immediate control, Machiavellians play the long game. They'll befriend you, help you, even love you, if it serves their ultimate strategy. Dr. Delroy Paulhus found that high Machs consistently outperform others in negotiations, not because they're smarter, but because they're willing to lie, cheat, and betray without hesitation. The most chilling part? They sleep perfectly well afterward. Finally, psychopathy. This isn't about violence. Primary psychopaths, the successful ones, rarely commit violent crimes. They commit something worse: they destroy lives systematically, without remorse, often while being praised for their leadership abilities. Dr. James Fallon, a neuroscientist who discovered his own brain showed psychopathic patterns, describes it as an empathy switch that can be turned off. Psychopaths understand emotions intellectually but don't feel them viscerally. They know that crying means sadness, but watching someone cry triggers no emotional response. It's pure observation. Clinical data. This emotional void gives them a massive advantage in high-pressure situations. While others are paralyzed by guilt, fear, or empathy, psychopaths make decisions based purely on outcome optimization. No emotional interference. No moral friction. Just results. Why do these traits cluster together? Because they're complementary weapons. Narcissism provides the motivation, the unshakable belief in one's superiority. Machiavellianism provides the strategy, the ability to manipulate others without moral constraints. Psychopathy provides the execution, the capacity to destroy without emotional consequences. Together, they create individuals who are simultaneously charming and ruthless, confident and calculating, decisive and emotionally vacant. In our competitive society, these aren't bugs, they're features. Studies by researchers like Katharina Fritzen show that Dark Triad individuals are overrepresented in leadership positions across industries. They're not failing upward, they're succeeding by design. While you're worried about being fair, they're focused on being effective. While you're concerned about others' feelings, they're concerned about others' utility. Here's how to spot them. First, watch for charm that feels performative. Dark Triad individuals often seem too polished, too perfectly calibrated for the situation. Their empathy feels scripted because it is. They've learned to mimic emotional responses they don't actually feel. Second, notice how they treat people with less power. Service workers, subordinates, anyone who can't benefit them directly. The mask slips when there's no audience that matters. Dr. Paul Bobiek's research in corporate environments shows that psychopaths maintain careful personas with superiors while showing contempt for those beneath them. Third, observe their relationship with truth. It's flexible. Not just lying, everyone lies occasionally. But a fundamental comfort with deception as a tool. They don't feel guilty about lying because they don't see truth as inherently valuable. Truth is just another variable to manipulate. Fourth, watch for grandiose stories that can't be verified. Narcissistic components of the Dark Triad drive individuals to construct elaborate narratives of their own importance. But dig into details, and the stories become vague, the timelines fuzzy, the witnesses unavailable. But here's the uncomfortable part. You might recognize some of these traits in yourself. Most people score somewhere on Dark Triad measures. The question isn't whether you have these traits, it's whether they control you. Dr. Scott Lilienfeld's research suggests that subclinical levels of these traits can actually be adaptive in certain contexts. A touch of narcissism can boost confidence. Some Machiavellian thinking can improve strategic planning. Limited psychopathic traits can help in high-pressure decision-making. The danger comes when these traits become your primary operating system. When charm becomes manipulation, when confidence becomes exploitation, when strategic thinking becomes predatory behavior. So examine yourself honestly. Do you feel genuine empathy for others' pain, or do you simply recognize it as a social signal? When you help someone, are you genuinely concerned for their well-being, or are you building social capital? When you tell stories about yourself, are you sharing experiences, or are you constructing a persona? The most terrifying aspect of the Dark Triad isn't that these people exist. It's that they're often successful, admired, and rewarded by our society. We've built systems that advantage the emotionally hollow and strategically ruthless. Which raises one final question: in a world that rewards Dark Triad behavior, what does it cost to remain human?